You're listening to Sox in the Basement, a production of the Broadcast Basement Limited, where every show is 30 minutes of good and comes from a basement bar on the south side of Chicago. Pull up a stool, pour a cold one, and join us right now for Sox in the Basement. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at soxinthebasement.com.
Hey, this is Acoustic Mike from the Broadcast Basement. Every week we do 30 minutes of good on beer, fatherhood, and fun. But right now you're getting 30 minutes of the White Sox. With Chris and Dave, it's Sox in the Basement. Now.
I don't want you to have to use a glass. I mean, if you want to be an animal and just kind of drink out of the can, my mother doesn't even let me drink out of the can.
Could I crush the can on my head when
If
we're
you
done?
need to crush the can on your head, my mom won't even let me drink out of a can. I'm 41 years old, and now all of a sudden this has become a big deal.
Why?
I don't know. Like the other day, I drank a can of pop in front of her, and she screamed at me. And then I tried to hand one to the kids, and she's like, why would you do that to them? And I said, it's a can of pop, Mom. And she's like, oh, these things are disgusting. I never let you drink out of a can of pop. And I'm like, what? I drink out of cans of pop my whole life. But now, in her brain, something she read on the internet or on Facebook about how they're dirty and rats piss on them, and some guy died 12 years ago because he took a drink of pop and it had some horrible disease on it and he dropped dead. Now you can't drink out of a can anymore.
Are these the same people who say that ice cubes will cause salmonella or bacteria
those people.
or something
Meanwhile,
like that?
I just needed ice for my my Johnny Walker Black Label the other night, and I walked up to the gas station and grabbed it out of the bin. The bag was half open, and I used it as ice inside of my drink, and I'm still alive. It's incredible.
I'm glad I'm still alive.
You know, I feel like you and I go to a White Sox game together, and we walk around our Sox in the Basement t-shirts, and we meet all kinds of people.
That was a fun night.
And you have somebody come walk up to you and you're like, hey, I listened to the show, and he's all excited randomly. And we buy a couple of beers for people. We hang out with some of the guys from the 108. We move around the entire ballpark, and we had a great time. And then you don't come in here for 2 weeks.
Sorry.
You know, I gotta bring my father over here. People loved him. Okay, he might get a permanent seat here at the bar. People loved him.
Nice.
Okay, and then last week was of course Kopech night. You were like, I can't make it. And I'm like, all right, cool. And next thing you know, you got Scott King from WGN who almost knocked Michael Kopech off the stairs as he came into the dugout.
Huh.
Okay. I mean, it was just
Well, it sounds like you're getting some very important people down here without me, dude. So,
here's the big news. The big news is that Ron Kittle is a coming. I don't know exactly what day it's going to be.
Really?
Ron and I have now spoken back and forth about it. The Sox have approved allowing me to have their people on, so now nobody's restricted from coming on the show. You know what I'm saying? Nobody can sit there and say, well, I'd love to come on and talk White Sox with you, but I have this affiliation with the team, and I need their approval. Things are wide open now for Sox in the Basement.
See, and
okay?
I was wondering about that the last time we talked about it, because Ron Kittle is not listed as a Sox ambassador or anything like that.
But he wouldn't come anywhere near me until the Sox told him it was good.
So apparently there's some sort of, he's got still some sort of contractual obligation that he can't make appearances on White Sox related media without their.
Maybe it's a courtesy thing. Maybe he's like, I'm not going to go on something that the team might not like. I want to make sure they're cool with it. I'm okay with that.
That makes sense.
$1 billion, machine going on here. This is Major League Baseball.
Are the White Sox worth $1 billion?
You know what? I'm sure Jerry thinks that they're worth $1 billion.
Well,
and knowing him, he'll find a way to sell it for $1 billion when it's all said and done. Okay? When he's gone, whoever takes it, at some point when they decide to sell it, they'll find a way to make a lot of money off it.
I always thought the
$500,000.
I always thought the Reinsdorf edict to his kids was when he passes on, keep the Sox, sell the Bulls.
I thought it was the other way around.
I thought it was. I thought it was keep the Sox, sell the Bulls.
Well, I know they're not keeping both. I remember that always being a thing. That when Jerry passes, he's basically told them, sell one, live high on the hog, enjoy the other one.
He seems to run the Bulls with more of an iron fist than he does.
Oh, Sox are a family, baby.
Sox
are a family.
Well,
it's the only reason Daryl Boston has a job.
What did I miss?
Dude,
Chris?
it's been first of all, it's been the greatest week of the rebuild.
10 out of the last 13.
The greatest week and a half.
Yeah.
2 weeks out of the rebuild. It's here's the thing. We can sit around. We can get aggravated about stuff. We can sit there and say this guy sucks. We can say I don't like this guy. When they start winning, when you start to see the potential, it's exciting.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And I like the fact that I'm seeing the potential before September call-ups, because you can make the argument in September that you're going to face some teams that have AAA players.
Right. We talked about that before, like with the Giolito Lopez thing. Like these guys were, well, not Lopez, but with Giolito, like, he kind of got fat and happy off of, other teams' September call-ups last year. So I do agree with you. I did notice that, they're solid teams they're beating, man. They just beat the Yankees.
I know. And you know who goes out and beats them is
Rodon.
Is the ace.
Rodon.
Everybody can be all excited about Kopech, but let me tell you something about Carlos Rodon, okay? And what is my favorite stat? What is my favorite stat in the whole world when it comes to pitching?
That would be whip.
The whip. The walks and hits per innings pitched. How often does he put somebody on base? What did I say about whip? We can go back and listen to it. That if a guy's under 1.30, he's a serviceable, real-life major league starting pitcher. If he's down in the 110s, you see what I'm saying? If he's 1 to 110, he's a superstar. You know what Carlos Rodon is? Ever since the All-Star break, just from the All-Star break.
Let me guess. Last time I checked it was a while ago, but he was at like a 1.10.
Okay, but
he was
from
at
the
like
All-Star break,
1.10.
since the All-Star break, once he got his legs underneath him, he's ready to go. You know what he's got?
I'm not sure. What do we
A
got?
0.85 whip.
That is
He's
awesome.
got Dennis Eckersley's whip.
That is awesome.
But Eck and Mariano Rivera as closers, he's doing that 7 innings a game. Okay? This is an incredible run that he's going on. He has had 7 starts and pitched 50 1/3 innings over 7 starts. So he's going deep in the games. He's only given up 3 dingers over that time. Opponents are hitting 145 against him. He's got 36 strikeouts, and his whip is 0.85. That is incredible.
Now, here's the thing, Chris. When we talked last time about Carlos Rodon, it was like the pitching hangover show or something like that. You were pretty concerned about dude's health.
I was.
Are you still?
I think you have to be concerned about his health till he does a full season.
Okay.
But I'm going to dare to be excited because this has been it's a rebuild, for crying out loud, and there's not a lot to get excited about. I'm going to dare to be excited. I love the attitude. You want to know why I love this guy, dude? I love this guy because of not only how he's pitching, but everything that surrounds him. Okay? I had a little exchange back and forth with his wife, Ashley.
I saw that.
Okay,
that was
on
funny.
Twitter.
I saw that.
And I told her, and what happened was I'm watching a game, and Benetti says after Carlos walks somebody, Benetti says that, if you have small kids, and I'm paraphrasing, I can't exactly quote it, but this is basically what he said. If you have small kids and they have sensitive ears, you may not want to sit down in between the bases, down around home plate, within earshot of Carlos Rodon on his game days. Because when he walks somebody, he has some pretty foul language to say. And you can see him dropping F-bombs. You can see he's just pissed off because he walks somebody. But then
he's not doing the thing where he holds his glove up to his face and swears
just shouts
in it.
He just rears his head back. He rears his head back like he's going into battle in Game of Thrones. Like he's just angry. Okay? Now, in the meantime, the greatest dynamic of it is not only the intensity that he shows, but he backs up the intensity. He's not a crazy person. He's not Carlos Zambrano. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, God.
Something bad happens, he doesn't lose it. Something bad happens, and he goes, and now I'm going to pitch angry.
So wait a minute, real quick. What did Carlos Rodon's wife say back to you after
she said, we don't have any kids. It's okay.
Nice.
Because I said it. But the thing is that I've been following her on Twitter, and she's another thing that makes me feel excited about Carlos Rodon.
Really?
It's amazing to me that a wife of a pitcher makes me excited about a pitcher because this is the most supportive. My wife makes food when I do these podcasts, okay? Not for you because she's at work whenever you come over. But when I do all my other podcasts, people are over in the evenings, okay? And my wife will bring down food. She's supportive of everything I do. She walks around and tells everybody, he's very talented and he's a great guy. And she's sometimes I'm embarrassed by how nice she talks about me, especially because I give her a hard time all the time. Okay, she's the fodder of so many jokes. She's from West Virginia. I like to break into an accent. I like to give her a hard time, and it just rolls off. Okay, she loves me. Ashley Rodon is like her at a 12. She goes on Twitter. And when her husband walks somebody and there's a questionable pitch in the zone, she takes the image from the internet that shows all the pitch tracks.
Really?
And post it to shame the umpire.
Wow.
In real time during the game. You see what I'm saying? In real time during the game.
That's dedication, man.
Okay, she gets just as angry as he gets. And then I just, to me, I see this like dynamic of where every fifth day, like they're like a normal family, but every fifth day I feel like Ashley gets up.
They're just like warriors.
Ashley gets up, she makes him a big breakfast, okay? They like, slap a lot of high fives around the house, okay? She's like, go kick some ass. The better you do, the more fun it's going to be later on tonight. I'm sorry, Ashley, but there's a possibility. I don't know what that would motivate me with my wife. Okay, I know what my wife does to motivate me. When she needs me to do work around the house, I'm promised things. Okay, Carlos has got a 0.85 whip. Okay, we're talking cosplay. That's what I'm expecting.
But wait a minute. Remember that commercial a long time ago where there was like the hot chick laying on a bed and she just says, "there's nothing sexy about a low ERA."
I don't remember that commercial at all.
That was all about when the Sosa McGuire era was happening.
Oh,
they were doing the chase for
because everybody wanted to see home runs.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to see home runs.
Well, it could very well be. Now, you could be onto something, or it could very well be that she's so fired up about her husband's performance. It could very well be she possibly threatens him to sleep on the couch if he has a bad game.
Maybe it's maybe
Carlos just doesn't want to get kicked out of the house.
Every fifth day, you have to prove to me that you belong in this bedroom, sleeping on your side of the bed. You have to prove it. Okay?
I mean,
and otherwise, there's a guest room for you if you give up too many runs. I listened to the Sox in the Basement podcast, and I heard the one guy, the loud, obnoxious one, sit there and say, your whip has to be below this level. If it goes above that level, Carlos, you have to sleep in the garage. You might be right about that.
I mean, we have talked about how the baseball wags clearly have high standards here. You know what I mean? Listen, they've got their own app, right? We've talked about this. There's somewhere that there's somewhere. So
she's not. I don't know. I mean, whenever I hear baseball wags, it's just like one of those things where you flip it along on the internet and it's like, check out the 20th hottest baseball wags.
Sure.
I feel like I'm giving Ashley, I'm being a detriment to Ashley Rodon to group her in with the wags. She's something different.
Interesting.
She is she is the old guy in the corner with Rocky Balboa, telling him to chase the chick. Yeah, that's what she does. He wakes up in the morning and she leans over very sweetly, pecks him on the cheek, and then says,
"You're gonna eat lightning. You're gonna crap thunder."
Exactly.
Now, you're gonna be a greasy Italian tank. We used to chase chickens. That was the only way we used to train back in my day.
Sox in the basement. Sox in the basement. Sox in the basement.
There is some negative going on the team.
Okay.
But I want to stay as positive as I can first. But there is, I've changed my mind about a few players, some in the positive and some in the negative. Okay. Because now we have almost a full season. 2018 is about to hit September call-ups. And it's hitting, it might have already just hit it while you're listening to the show because the show's up once a week, but it's hitting it during this week that this show is up. And now we've gotten a really good sample size of guys against major league talent. And so I want to get into guys that maybe I've changed my mind on either up or down. Because remember, a couple months ago, I was like, these guys will be on the team in 2020. I don't know about these other guys. That list has changed.
I'm interested to hear because there are a few guys that I have in mind too. So,
but another thing that I want to bring up to you before we move on, let's just look at some of the stats that jump out at me that make me happy as a White Sox fan.
Okay.
Lucas Giolito, since the All-Star break, the 1.28 whip. He's got 7 starts. He's gone 41 innings. He's cut down on the home runs. It's not great, but opponents are hitting 239 against him. He looks like a really good pitcher. He is the third best of the 5 starters we currently have, if you count Kopech, right now on the team. He looks good out there. Michael Kopech, he's only had a little bit of time. He's got the 1.25 whip. The whip went up a little bit in the first full game, but he still looks good. He's a rookie, just getting his feet wet. I love watching him pitch. I feel like the White Sox have told him for the first time through the rotation, just throw cheese. Throw cheese and just aim it. Throw it high and in, and then throw it low and out, and don't throw any secondary pitches unless you're absolutely needed, and don't even show him the secondary pitches till the second time through the lineup. And then you could also tell that in his first full start, his second start, but his first full start, when he got into trouble, they weren't going to go get him. When Cooper went out in the 6th inning, okay, of that game the other day, he walked out there. You could tell he was looking at him like, we ain't taking you out, kid. You're in the bigs now. It's time for you to prove it. You can have the flowing hair, but go prove it. And he proved it. He got himself out of it. That's what they want to see. That's what this is for the rest of the year for him, is get out there, put him in the hardest situation you could possibly put him in. It should not be easy. There should be bumps in the road. He has to learn how to come back from them because he's not going to have this beautiful career where everybody just stands up and cheers for him and he always wins. Okay, bad things are going to happen.
Right, and
teams are going to figure him out. There's going to be enough video on him all of a sudden they're going to figure him out. So he's got to figure out how to get through situations.
You're probably going to start to see a lot of that early next year too, because right now, again, you're going to have him for the rest of the year. You're going to have him versus AAA, September call-ups, whatever.
Although they are playing some really good teams.
They're playing good teams.
They got the Red Sox
they're
still.
Playing good teams.
They're playing the Yankees right now. They're going to play the Cubs for 3, and they're in the middle of a pennant chase. They've got some good teams they're going to play here. So not everything's going to be easy for them.
Okay.
But I get what you're saying. I agree with you. It could be very similar how Giolito came out and looked like a world beater last year, and then came out the next season and struggled. At some point, he's going to struggle.
So you were talking about Giolito's stats since the All-Star break.
Break.
It does seem like he has figured it out. He had a really, really bad first half of the season, man. I mean,
right.
it was rough.
Listen, here, I like Lopez, but he's not doing well since the All-Star break. He's still at a 1.53 whip, okay? Opponents are hitting a very good for them 268 against him since the All-Star break. It is not. Now, I still think he's one of your starters next year. I mean, Giolito and Lopez are starting next year. I don't know. The White Sox, they don't have anybody else they're bringing up to start the year. It's going to be Rodon, Kopech, Giolito, Lopez, and you have a 5th starter. You're either picking up the option on Shields, you're buying him out, and you're going to pick up some other journeyman for like a 2-year contract that you like, because you're not bringing up anybody from AAA to start the season. I doubt that anybody that's down in AAA forces their way onto the lineup out of spring training. Now, you might sit there and say, we're going to get this guy and this guy and this guy. They're serviceable innings eaters. We're going to let Shields go, and we're going to, and maybe somebody will win the job. Maybe they want to get Shields out of the way so there's something for guys to fight for. But I don't see how they don't start the year with those 4 guys, with your Rodon, your Kopech, your Giolito, and your Lopez. Those 4 guys are starting the year next year in the rotation.
You were talking about Lopez. So Lopez hit a really bad skid. Early midsummer, it was like late June, all of July. I did read something in Loop Sports online that, the guy was saying like over his past few starts, like talking like the past 3 or 4 starts, Lopez has shown some signs of improvement. Now, I'm not sure if I misread that, but I do remember reading it. But yeah, Lopez has had, since the All-Star break and a little bit before it, Lopez has really had a rough go of it.
Now let's get to players.
Pitchers aren't players?
Position
players.
Let's get to position players. Guys that hit the ball.
Do it.
Okay. Let's get to position players and guys that hit the ball. I am going to amend something that I said a couple of months ago about who I thought was going to be on the team and who I didn't think was going to be on the team.
Okay.
Or at least where they were going to be. I have to amend my feelings on Yolmer Sanchez. I was really high on him at the start of the year. Okay. And I know everybody loves him because he dumps Gatorade on him. And I know that the personality of the team is awesome. And maybe you think I'm wrong. But to me, you've got all these guys. It's like, oh, I love how Daniel Pelka gives these funny interviews. Oh, I love how Yolmer Sanchez dumps stuff on his head. Oh, I love this guy because he does this. Oh, I love how Adam Engel goes over the wall. Everybody's got these little things that they love about these players. But when you look at the raw stats on some of them, you have to sit there and say, are we winning a World Series with this guy on the team or at least in the starting lineup?
Well,
and here, Yolmer Sanchez.
Well, I was going to say, what changed your mind on Yolmer?
Well, what changed my mind on Yolmer is the lack of production. He's playing third base, which is a production position. You have to have a third baseman that does better at hitting 214 with a 322 on base percentage and a 313 slugging percentage. His slugging is below his on base percentage.
Is he?
And he's got an OPS of 635. That's since the All-Star break.
Okay, I was going to say 214. Is he down that low? But that's since the All-Star break.
That is since the All-Star break.
Wow.
Okay?
I didn't realize that.
I mean, like that to me is extremely disappointing. And I was a big fan, and I've been rooting for him. He's down to 244 overall. He's got an OPS lower than 700. His on-base percentage is 328 and his slugging is 331. There's no pop in the bat.
No.
So there's no pop in the bat from that position. And you're not hitting well enough to, say, justify not having a lot of pop in the bat sitting at third base. And he's not a Gold Glove third baseman. So in the end, he's a utility player sitting at third base because you don't have the real third baseman that's going to make the move for you. And if we go to what I said 2 months ago, 1 month ago, a month ago, a couple of weeks ago, if we go to what I said about I still want them to go out and drop a ton of money on Manny Machado's lawn, I would now much rather see Tim Anderson move over to third base.
I don't know, man.
Then have Yolmer Sanchez standing there. I don't know what is Anderson. Anderson's giving you more at the plate. Anderson's giving you more at the plate now. He steals bags.
Anderson's giving you more of the plate. Yes, Anderson
he has
gives you more.
He has improved in his second half.
He's improved. Okay, here's the thing. Anderson gives you more at the plate. Yes, but
255 in the second half.
But here's the thing. He's just now, Chris, starting to figure out his defense at shortstop.
Right.
Just now.
Right.
All right. Now you're going to want to go and move him over to third base, which is a completely different type of mentality. I don't know, man. And the other thing is, third base and first base, those are, your corner infield positions. Those are typically places where you put your power hitters.
But who are the third basemen? Who's the third baseman you're going to go get in the offseason?
No, you can't. That's the problem. That's
and who's
the problem.
coming up in the system that's going to be the third baseman?
There isn't.
Who's playing third?
There isn't.
Okay.
That's the big. That is the big problem. That's why you're sort of stuck with Yolmer, at least for now, because I don't know who you put there.
Well, here's the thing. I understand Matt Davidson's frustration. Okay, he had a post-game interview where he basically implied that, like, it's nice to finally get out in the field. And it had to be when Renteria was in the hospital for him to make it out onto the field. And I understand Davidson's frustration because Davidson's numbers at the plate.
Are they that much better?
Okay, here we go. Matt Davidson, over 100 points higher in his OPS.
Okay.
Than Yolmer Sanchez is right now. Okay, if he's not a third baseman, if Matt Davidson's not a third baseman, and you don't intend to ever play him at third base, and you don't even think it's worth trying out at this point, because the guy you have at third can't bring the pop that Matt Davidson brings, then what is your plan at third base? It can't be waiting for Jake Berger. He's 2 to 3 years away if he even pans out.
And
it can't be going out into free agency because what are you going to go get in free agency? Because Machado's not going to go play third. He ain't signed a contract with a team that expects him to play third.
I don't think he's going to leave the Dodgers anyway, man. I mean, you're not going to get into a bidding war with the Los Angeles Dodgers for Manny Machado. You really think that
but the Dodgers' payroll is so high, I just don't know if they can still afford him. From what I've read, it sounds like that this may be a rental to them. But take Machado out of the equation. What other third baseman's going to be floating around out there? I don't want Josh Donaldson.
No.
He's old and he's hurt a lot.
The only other person that has been brought up is Moustakas.
Right, and I don't think he's good enough to play third base for my soon-to-be world championship Chicago White Sox.
No,
he's not going to be that. You don't have an answer at third right now. That's my biggest fear with this team.
The Jake Berger thing, because it was an injury, right? That set Jake Berger back. It was an Achilles.
It was Achilles.
They didn't count on that.
Yeah, but did you really count on Jake Berger being drafted, having 1 year in the minors, and being ready to come up next year or in 2 years? I mean, the guy was easily going to be a 3-year project before he even had a chance to come up, and he's the only project. So if he gets injured, or he doesn't pan out, or he gets to AAA and he can't hit anymore, what is your backup plan at third base? That is the biggest hole on this team right now. What are you doing at the hot corner? Because there is no plan.
It's the middle of the show song. 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 Chris had nothing to put here, so he put this song. It's the middle of the show song.
Imagine your roster next year. Just your player roster. Leave the pitchers out.
Position players.
Your position player roster. Okay. Imagine who's going to be sitting at each position, not counting any trades, if nothing happened in the offseason.
Okay.
And your starters. I mean, Navarez is starting behind the plate.
Yes, he is.
Abreu's at first. You're giving Moncada another chance.
At second.
You're going with Anderson again at short. Okay.
We don't know about third.
Well, but right now, your only option is Yolmer Sanchez at third.
Right.
Jake Berger ain't coming up. And now in the outfield, let's just say you keep Engel out in the outfield because you're impressed by his post-All-Star stats of hitting .296 with a .779 OPS. You get that out of a center fielder who plays that kind of defense and has that kind of speed, he's on the team. Adam Engel's your starting center fielder till Lewis Robert comes and takes it from him.
I didn't realize
if
that.
he does that post All-Star break, if he hits
didn't-
almost 300 with a 779 OPS with that kind of defense, he's figured it out. The light bulb has gone on, and he's holding that job till Lewis Robert comes and takes it from him.
Are you seeing how many errors he's made since the All-Star break? Because when I checked it before the All-Star break, I mean, Engel was one of your league leaders in errors for that position. So I don't know where he's at this point. Like if you can look that stat up,
He's got a 981 fielding percentage.
since the All-Star
Since
break.
the All-Star
That's
break.
better. That's
Okay.
better than what it was.
He's got a 981 fielding percentage. So
You
anyway,
know,
hold on. So now,
I was really dark. I was really dark on Adam Engel. I didn't realize that he has, because again, I haven't been.
things
I
have
haven't had to
changed.
watch.
Things change as the year goes on. You can't be stuck in your belief on one player. I'm starting to soften on Anderson, and I'm starting to soften on Engel, and I'm starting to get more annoyed with Yomer. Okay.
Okay.
And Garcia scares me. Okay, I know he's injured, but he scares me. And Moncada, I told you I would give the entire season a wash, but I'm nervous by the second half. But now finish what I have out here in the outfield.
I
I
where
got
we
Engel in center. I'm going to bring, and then I've got these outfielders. I've got this mess of outfielders. Okay.
Okay.
Let's just throw two of them out there. Let's say we put Garcia out in right, and we put Delmonico out in left. And now you've got 4 bench spots. It's going to be a backup catcher, and then you're going to have 3 position players sitting on your bench. Even if you throw Davidson on your bench and you throw Pelka on your bench, and then you've got to find yourself somebody that can play the infield as a backup infielder that's sitting on your bench. You are flush with outfielders with Eloy Jimenez coming. Even if they do, and I think they'll do the service time thing. So I think for the first 6 weeks of the season, there is going to be a battle royale in which when it is over, if Avisail Garcia has not come back and proven it was just because of injury and he doesn't come out hot, he might not have a spot. He might be sitting on the bench and they're trying to move him. There is a battle royale coming because the spots are running out in the outfield and there's too many guys playing the outfield.
Because you have the outfielders that you just mentioned. Also, the fact that you could put Davidson out there, you could put Palka out there. Eloy Jimenez is coming at some point this year.
And he's taking a job.
And he's taking a
Taking
job.
somebody's job.
You know, Blake Rutherford is down there waiting.
Taking somebody's job.
Robert, is it Robert or Robert?
It's Robert.
It's Robert.
It's Robert.
Yeah.
You want to give him a fancy
he-
name because his first name is Luis. So you're like,
But
Luis
it's not.
Robert.
Yeah, it's
Louis Robert.
Robert, yeah.
It's Louis Robert.
He, I believe, is scheduled. He's on schedule to be up here at some point in 2019.
No, I don't think he gets here 2019.
You don't think
He's
so?
2020. He's
Okay.
2020. He's 2020. With Adam Engel hitting the way he's doing, if he finishes the year as hot as he is right now, Adam Engel will play 2019 as your center fielder. He will. He'll be your
Okay.
center fielder.
Interesting.
If he finishes post All-Star break, if he has a second half and it continues the way it's going right now, Adam Engel is your opening day center fielder and he'll play center field all year. Why rush Robert up here? He's young and there's no reason to start the clock on him.
And we knew this. I mean, we knew that the Sox were super, super deep in their outfield, in their, like in their farm system, and even in their bench players up here. I mean, so we anticipated that.
I think that push is coming to shove here. And this is a fun team. And I have really loved the personality of this team. But you are not staying on this team if you're funny. You're going to stay on this team if you're good. Okay? And this is what it is. And I'm okay with it. I love this. As a fan, don't you love this? There's
Well,
competition.
Yes, this is what a rebuild is supposed to be.
Right.
This is the way it's supposed
I'm
to
not
look.
buying any jerseys unless I'm sure you're going to be here for 10 years. I'm not. Just
You-
putting on my Ron Kittle jersey. I'm going to sit out there.
You bought a Polka jersey, don't lie.
I don't have one yet. Okay? Polka Mania running wild, I get it, but I'm not buying a jersey until I'm sure the guy's going to be a major member of the
You
team.
were about ready to when we went
I
to
was
the game.
thinking about
Maybe it was the beer talk.
Yeah, I get lost in his eyes. That's what happens.
Oh no.
Another show is wrapped up. Another show's in the books. Another show is wrapped up. And then by the looks, it's gonna be a good one. And we'll see you next week. And the nudist basement. And the nudist basement. Another show is wrapped up. Another show is wrapped up. Another show is wrapped up. And it's in the books. Another show is wrapped up. Another show is wrapped up. And by the looks, It's gonna be a good one. Nudie's Basement. Broadcast Basement. The Nudie's Basement. The Broad Basement. Slancha. That was like Dropkick Murphys or something, right? I felt like it.
We need to find the most the drunkest, most obnoxious Sox fans out there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
we just need to, and we just need to be trolls. It'll be great. I wonder if they talk. Do they actually talk like they type, like with no punctuation?
You've never,
like, do they do that?
You see,
Is
you
that
don't
a
go
thing?
out. You don't go out and mingle with people as much as I do.
I generally
You don't go out and mingle with
generally
people.
have a strong dislike
I
for
mean, you
people.
You went to Beggar's Pizza and you're like, oh, I went out to a bar. No, you got to go to one of those bars that don't even have a name on the door. Those kind of Southside bars where you walk in and it could have been somebody's house, but now it's a bar.
They all have like the
Right.
old style.
And
remember the old style
there's
sign
an
they
old
used to
style
hang off the
sign.
bars?
There's a Schlitz
Yeah.
sign on out there. They got some great signs inside those places, and you need to go into a place like that and then talk baseball. That'll broaden your mind right there.
X's
You'll be
and O's.
amazed. You'll be amazed at how many incorrect facts are spouted out. Like Jim Thome was on the 2005 White Sox. You'll hear somebody say that to you.
Oh, I've
Okay?
heard that.
You will. You'll hear people say some of the most ridiculous things in the world. Well, Sammy Sosa hit a lot of home runs for the Cubs, but he hit a ton for us too.
Javier
No, he
Vasquez.
didn't.
Did you know that Javier Vasquez was also on the 2005 team? I got that one.
Sox in the Basement. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always on soxinthebasement.com.